Sarvada Chadi Ahankar. Ilose Sarva Gune Guni Mahashoy Pratishtasa Chadi Koro Amani Hridoy. Krishna Adhishtana Sarva Jive Jani Sada Korobi Samana Sabde Adare Sarvada. Danya Doya Anye Mana Pratishta Varjan Chare Gune Guni Hoye Koro Hakirtan. Bhakti Vinoda Kandi Bole Prabhu Pai Nino Adhikara Kabe Dibehe Amai. Together, when Shri Krishna Kirtan always occupies your mind, latent Vaishnav qualities in you begin to shine. Feeling humbler than the grass with no thought for yourself. Set aside false pride and honor everybody else. Practicing forbearance with the patience of a tree. Care for other beings and give up hostility. Living peacefully, do not put others in distress. Lose yourself and think of ways to bring them happiness. Even if you have a great soul's greatest qualities, let your heart stay humble without passion for prestige. Krishna lives in every being, always recollect. Thus to all and at all times give friendship and respect. Mercy, meekness, reverence, and loss of lust for fame. These four virtues sanction you to chant Lord Krishna's names. Weeping Bhakti Vinoda cries out at your feet. When will all these saintly qualities appear in me? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Sri Harinam Prabhu ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate. Oh, before we start, we have a book. Any comments on this? Any reflections on these lines from Bhaktivinoda Thakur? Easy to understand. Yes. Yes. Do you read the whole thing? The translation, okay, yes, like a japa affirmation? Nice. Okay, so I thought I was bringing something new. You read the translation, not this. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the affirmations for reasons why we chant Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Kinchana. Right? The good qualities emerge in the life of a devotee. So you're studying the 17th chapter of the first canto. Okay? How Parikshit received the age of Kali. 17th chapter. Yep. Now verse, is it 40 today? 43, 45, I think. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. This is the punishment and reward of Kali, chapter 17. Okay. So, O'Neill, where are we? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, somehow I got 40 to 45, but that's all right. Okay. No, let's read the verses. This is what we usually do, right? You have a microphone or? Without microphone? Usually it's a room, so you can bring it back. If there's mic handy, that'll be nice. You can pass it around. Yeah. Okay, so text 28. I'll start and then. Oh, go ahead, Prabhu.
Thus pacify the personality of religion on the earth. Then he took up his sharp sword to kill the personality of Kali, who is cause of all religion.
Text 29. When the personality of Kali understood that the king was willing to kill him, he at once abandoned the threats of the king and, under pressure of fear, completely surrendered to him, bowing his head.
Go ahead, that's right. I mean, we'll work our way over.
Text 30. Maharaj Parikshit, who was qualified to accept surrender and worthy of being sung in history, did not kill the poor son and follow Kali, but smiled compassionately for he was kind and poor.
The king thus said, "We have inherited the fame of Arjuna. Therefore, since you have surrendered yourself to folded hands, you need not fear for your life. But you cannot remain in my kingdom, for you are the friend of your religion."
If the personality of Kali in religion is allowed to act as a vanguard or an executive head, certainly irreligious principles like greed, falsehood, robbery, incivility, treachery, misfortune, cheating, quarrel, and vanity will abound.
Therefore, O friend of your religion, you do not deserve to remain in a place where experts perform sacrifices according to truth and religious principles, for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes the demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped because he is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside like the air. Thus, it is he only who awards all welfare to the worshipper.
Okay. Monil, when do we stop? At 40? Okay.
Sri Sutta Goswami said,
46.
The personality of Kali, thus being ordered by Maharaj Parikshit, began to tremble in fear. Seeing the king before him like Yavraj, ready to kill him, Kali spoke to the king as follows.
Very humble.
O your majesty, though I may live anywhere and everywhere under your order, I shall but see you with bow and arrows wherever I live.
Therefore, chief among the protectors of religion, please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government.
Suta Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, thus being pensioned by the personality of Kali, gave him permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter were performed.
Personality of Kali asked for something more, and because of his begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is gold, because wherever the gold is, there is also a falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and envy.
Right. And Kali was very clever. He knew that there was no place where the first 4 items existed. So he said, you got to give me one more. Okay, next.
Thus, the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Uttar, was allowed to live in those 5 places.
Therefore, next 41, therefore, whoever desires progressive values, especially kings, religionists, public leaders, brahmanas, and sannyasis, should never come in contact with the 4 above mentioned alien principles.
Thereafter, the king reestablished the lost legs of the personality of religion, the bull, and by encouraging activities, he sufficiently improved the condition of the earth.
The most fortunate emperor Maharaj Parikshit, who was entrusted with the kingdom of Hastinapur by Maharaj Yudhishthira, when he desired to retire to the forest, is now ruling the world with great success due to his being glorified by the deeds of the kings of the Kuru dynasty.
Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu, is so experienced that by dint of his expert administration and patronage, it has been possible for you to perform a sacrifice such as this.
Okay. So who is he addressing here? The sages at Naimisharanya? Is that it? It's a Sutu Uvacha. Yes. So Suta Goswami is saying it is possible for you to perform a sacrifice such as this because of Maharaj Parikshit. Therefore, this past event is very relevant to the immediate moment. Okay. So, okay, text 42 then. Sorry. Focus text today. Prishyasya nastam strin padan tapasocham dayamiti pratisandada avasya ashvasya mahimcha samavardayat Rishasya nashtam strin padan tapashocham dayamiti pratisandada ashvasya mahimcha samavardhayat. Please chant. Oh, how do we do? Men do one, ladies do one. Okay, please. That's so nice. Gentlemen. First line, right? Everyone together. That's such a Bhakti Marg Swami way of doing things, isn't it? So creative. Okay. And say the synonyms together, please. Vrishasya, of the bull, the personality of religion. Nashtan, lost. Trin, 3. Padan, legs. Tapa, austerity. Shaucham, cleanliness. Dayam, mercy. Iti, thus. Pratisandadhe, reestablished. Ashvasya, by encouraging activities. Mahim, the earth. Cha, and Samvardhayat, perfectly improved. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter, the king reestablished the lost legs of the personality of religion, the bull, and by encouraging activities, he sufficiently improved the condition of the earth. Let's say together. Thereafter, the king reestablished, together please. Thereafter, the king reestablished the lost legs of the personality of religion, the bull, and by encouraging activities, he sufficiently improved the condition of the earth. Whoever has the mic, please go ahead.
Designating particular places for the personality of Kali, Maharaj Parikshit practically cheated Kali. In the presence of Kali, Dharma, in the shape of a bull, and the earth, in the shape of a cow, he could actually estimate the general condition of his kingdom, and therefore he at once took proper steps to establish the legs of the bull, namely austerity, plainness, and mercy. And for the general benefit of the people of the world, he saw that the gold stock might be employed for stabilization. Gold is certainly a generator of falsity, intoxication, prostitution, enmity, and violence. But under the guidance of a proper king or public leader, or a brahmana or sannyasi, the same gold can be properly utilized to establish the lost legs of the gold, the personality of religion.
Maharaj Parikshit, therefore, like his grandfather Arjuna, collected all illicit gold kept for the propensities of Kali and employed it in the Sankirtana Yajna as per the instructions of the Srimad Bhagavatam. As we have suggested before, one's accumulated wealth may be divided into three parts for distribution, namely 50% for the service of the Lord, 25% for the family members, and 25% for personal necessities. Spending 50% for the service of the Lord or for propagation of spiritual knowledge in society by way of the Sankirtan Yajna is the maximum display of human mercy. People of the world are generally in darkness regarding spiritual knowledge, especially in regard to the devotional service of the Lord, and therefore to propagate the systematic transcendental knowledge of devotional service is the greatest mercy that one can show in this world. When everyone is taught to sacrifice 50% of his accumulated gold for the Lord's service, certainly austerity, cleanliness, and mercy automatically ensue, and thus the lost legs of the personality of religion are automatically established. When there is sufficient austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness, naturally, Mother Earth is completely satisfied, and there is very little chance for Kali to infiltrate the structure of human society.
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada was once asked, what is the most important passage in Srimad Bhagavatam? Does anyone know what Srila Prabhupada replied? And remember, he quoted a verse from this canto, first canto. In the second chapter, Dharmasya hyapavargasya narta utai upakalpate nartasya dharmakantasya kamalabhaya hi smrita. This means that spiritual life should never be performed for economic development. And if in the course of your spiritual journey you achieve economic development, you should never use it for satisfying the senses. So he considered this so important, this was the first thing that came to mind. This relationship between money and spirituality is being discussed in this section. First of all, the principles of religion the legs of the bull. This truthfulness, compassion, cleanliness, and austerity. These are not dogmatic religious principles, are they? These are non-sectarian, these are foundational, like for good society, principles of a good society. In a good society, people are clean. My family visiting from the States was remarking how clean Toronto appeared compared to cities in America. Can you believe that? So, cleanliness is a sign of culture. Austerity is a sign of culture. In modern terms, that would be like reducing our carbon footprint, taking the minimum necessary, making the minimum impact on the environment. Honesty, one great philosopher said, if you always tell the truth, you'll never have to remember what you said. And mercy, compassion. Shakespeare said that the quality of mercy is not strained. In other words, it's not something that you have to fake or to act or to pretend you have. Rather, it is something that falls like a gentle rain from heaven. And it is twice blessed. That is, it benefits the person who is feeling it, and it benefits the person who is receiving it. These are qualities of a good society, are they not? All of them. Now, Srila Prabhupada gave us 4 regulative principles. He said I could have millions of followers if I just eliminated these 4 regulative principles. But then there's no culture of the mode of goodness, and therefore there's no true opportunity to enter into the spiritual realm. So the 4 regulative principles are connected to these 4 legs of Dharma. Srila Prabhupada connects them in 2 different ways, so we just briefly explain both. Cleanliness is connected with illicit sex. Cleanliness is destroyed when people are not chaste, when they're promiscuous, when they look at reproduction not as a means of increasing the society, but rather as a means of enjoyment. So this creates dirt in the heart as well as in the body. And as a result of this, not observing this principle, there is so much disease and so much suffering in the world as a result. It is very traumatic when a woman becomes pregnant with a child that she does not want. It's very traumatic and very disruptive for everyone concerned, and particularly the child not being born into an environment where they are wanted or expected. Rather, there has to be some effort to try to accommodate them as on the side. But that is the natural outcome of sex, having children. Sometimes people say that, well, sex is natural. And they're right, it is natural. And having children is also natural, right? What is unnatural is having sex but trying to prevent pregnancy. And condoms do not grow on trees, as Sridananda Maharaj writes in the 11th canto. So, this very hard to relate to regulative principle, one that most people find the most difficult, is connected with so many social benefits. If people simply learn to control their sex desire and use it for the proper purpose, then society becomes so much more sane and peaceful. As a Westerner, I see this as a great advantage in Indian culture, although it's rapidly degrading. But there's some foundational understanding of the value of control in Indian culture. And thus, things like arranged marriages are possible. And I know many couples who had arranged marriages who are just very successful in their marriage, for the simple reason that there's never any sense of, oh, well, let me choose this one or this one or this one or this one. Oh, this didn't work, let me try that one. See? It's just, this is a duty in the course of my life, and I'm going to fulfill it, and it's not defining my existence. It's just a duty. I have to do this, so I'm observing. Gambling destroys honesty. Therefore, it is another one of the regulative principles. Gambling means I want something for nothing. Gambling means that I am risking that which I have for something that I hope to gain. So Chanakya Pandit says that one who gives up the certain for the uncertain very often loses both the certain and the uncertain. So gambling is a dishonest means of earning money. That is, one hopes that in relationship to the amount I'm risking, I'm going to get so much more. Sometimes people come to the temple, or they approach God in this way, that let me give a little donation and then I will get so much back. And this is the mentality of the gambler. There's no devotion, it's rather, let me see what I can get for myself. We'll get to money in a moment, but anyway, this is the reason we have no gambling. So then there's no intoxication and no meat eating, and these are sometimes alternated. So meat eating is associated obviously with compassion. Obviously, if one had to kill the animals that one was eating, most people would not eat meat at all. They actually had to kill them. So the animal is conscious, it is not wanting to die, it is protesting, and yet to ignore all that and kill it anyway just requires a certain deadening of the human spirit, a certain effort to dull one's sensitivities. On the other hand, meat eating is also said to destroy austerity, especially for, again, in Indian culture, everywhere you see veg, non-veg, right? So I always get this sense of, little subtle sense of guilt for the non-veg people. They have to say non-veg, because they're recognizing that it shouldn't be veg, but we're doing it anyway because we want to make money. Am I wrong in that? It's like a little bit of an indulgence. Non-veg. Okay, we're non-veg. Come on. So austerity in the Indian culture is associated with meat eating, because obviously it's not necessary. It's just for the habitual tastes of the tongue. And yet, naturally, if you give a child a plate of fruit or a plate of meat, like a toddler, 2-3-year-old, which will they go for? Not naturally eat the fruit, yes, that's actual nature. It has to be conditioned, has to be imposed on people to become meat eaters. It is not something they would gravitate to. So, meat eating and intoxication are both applicable to both austerity and mercy. Generally, we would think about intoxication. Okay, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to stop drinking. This is an austerity. But it is also connected with compassion, because a person who is pursuing intoxication has no thought for anyone else. The classic trope would be the alcoholic father who spends a paycheck on alcohol and doesn't provide for the family. See? So in this way, the mercy is destroyed both by meat eating and by intoxication. These are not spiritual principles. They are human principles. They're just basic things that are good for society. And so implementing them is not this lofty spiritual goal, it's just a pre-qualification to enter spiritual life. And yet, they are seen as so austere and so extreme. My father never liked my involvement in Krishna consciousness. And when I visit him, he used to say, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" Like as if I'm doing all of these things. So with my teeth clenched, they're so difficult. But once you get acclimated to the four regulative principles, they're just common sense. And you feel so much better, and you relate to others so much better, and you become a better version of yourself. So there's no difficulty once the conditioning is kind of allowed to atrophy. Maharaj Parikshit here is just enabling the personality of religion to get back on his feet. This section just before this, one of my very favorite sections of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Maharaj Parikshit, I'm sure you've been discussing this, how Maharaj Parikshit says to the bull, "Who is doing this to you?" It's not like he needs a crime scene investigation. He came on Kali beating the bull. He saw the bull hurt. He caught him red-handed. And yet he says to the bull, who is doing this to you? So it's such a strange question, huh? And of course, Maharaj Parikshit's question is answered in the most ambiguous way possible. Would you remember some of the things that the bull said? "Who's doing this to you?" And the bull said what? You just read this, right? It's a natural event in the course of time. Why else would one be suffering? Huh? Obviously. Because of my own karma? Yeah? Any other ideas? Why do we suffer? Why is the bull suffering? The planets? The demigods? Or no one can explain. Who can explain the suffering? So he said, so in light of all of these possibilities, who do you think is hitting me? Such a nice section. And Maharaj Parikshit appreciated this answer very much. I think if it had been you or me being beaten there, we probably would have picked up our one remaining leg and said, "It was him, it's him." But he refused to blame the person who was the immediate cause of his suffering. Why? Why does he say he refused to do that? Anyone remember? Yeah?
We were reading it yesterday. Prabhupada writes in purport that a Krishna conscious person who doesn't.
We have the mic? Could we have the mic? Yeah. Please.
We were reading this yesterday. Prabhupada says that a Krishna conscious person never thinks that someone is harming him directly. He sees everything indirectly and has mercy of Supreme Lord or more factors.
It's coming from Krishna ultimately, yes? Yes, so the immediate agent is not blamed. There was a very nice devotee, Canadian devotee by the name of Peter Burwash, who was a famous athlete here in Canada, a tennis player. Became one of the better tennis players in the world. So he took an interest in Krishna consciousness. He was reading Prabhupada's books. He was just starting out his career, so he became a life member and he gave $1,000. And that was a very big amount of money for him to give at that time. So he gave it to the local temple president, became a life member, and then the next day the temple president took the money and left. And Peter was quite upset about it. So he went to see Srila Prabhupada and told him what had happened. So Prabhupada told him something. He said that remain the cornerstone of his spiritual life for the next 50 years. Anyone, you know what he said? He said, do not blame the agent of your karma. Do not blame the agent of your karma. So this is a course of action that goes against our natural instinct. We want to blame the immediate cause of our suffering. But Prabhupada's instruction, don't blame the agent of your karma. Our karma comes to us through an agent. Just like an order from Amazon comes to us through an agent, through the delivery man. So the delivery man brings you the order, but you have the wrong color. Wait a minute, this is not what I ordered. I don't want this. This is wrong. Why have you done this to me? And the delivery man said, I just work here. I just brought you. Don't blame me. You ordered it. I delivered it. So I'm just the agent. In the same way, when somebody is apparently hurting us, we have this very strong propensity to blame them and to blame our suffering on them. So what we learn from the bull is that, actually, Sartak, what I was getting at is that the bull says that or Parikshit Maharaj rather says, you are the personality of religion because you understand that if someone blames the agent of their suffering, then they descend to the same level as that person. They share in the karmic reaction. If somebody is hurting us and we blame them, then we both get the karma. But if somebody is hurting us, we say, okay, Krishna is bringing this to me, then there is no karma for us. So this beautiful section of the Bhagavatam leads us to this. So now the bull's position as Dharma is perfectly established. This is what Parikshit says to him after hearing how he refused to blame the agent of his karma. Okay, you are the personality of religion. So he went about restoring his damaged legs of austerity, compassion, and cleanliness. Only the leg of honesty had remained a little bit. So then, Kali asks, very cleverly, you tell me I can stay where these things are going on in your kingdom, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and eating. You tell me I can stay wherever that's happening, but it's not happening anywhere in your kingdom. You were such a good king that none of these things were happening. So, where will I stay? Kali is very intelligent, right? He's very adept at negotiating and finding the weak spot. Since these things were not happening anywhere in the kingdom of Maharaj Parikshit, he'd have nowhere to stay. So indirectly, he's saying, hey, Your Majesty, you're not really giving me a straight answer here. So then Maharaj Parikshit makes this further concession. All right, wherever gold is being hoarded, you can stay there. Kali says, okay, good. And that will be fine. But then Maharaj Parikshit immediately began to round up all of the gold in his kingdom and make sure that that gold was used for the purpose of sacrifice. So this is the purpose, the actual purpose of money, just like the actual purpose of sex is reproduction. The actual purpose of money is to use it in the service of Krishna. But we are conditioned to think that money will make us happy. I have a friend who comes from a very wealthy family, and his whole life he's been very, very wealthy. And he said, in his experience, most devotees hope that money doesn't make you happy. We hear it and we hope that's true. He said, but people with money know that money doesn't make you happy. In fact, money in reserve is the cause, Prabhupada writes, of anxiety and stress. Protect it, got to make it grow, I got to make it work for me. It's just a burden, actually. This is why Prabhupada's economic formula for his temples in the early days was, whatever you collect, you spend it immediately for Krishna. There was an impersonalist sadhu who was known for, and whenever people offered him money, he would, no, I don't touch, I don't accept. Prabhupada laughed and he said, you bring us money, he said, we'll bring a wheelbarrow, give us more. And then we'll take it, we'll spend it all for Krishna, and then we'll come back the next day, please fill it up again. So this is the question that I like to explore just in our last few minutes here. What is this relationship between money and spirituality? So money, like anything else, can be used in Krishna's service, but it can be the residence of Kali if we misuse it. So how do we reconcile this? There's a story about three ministers. They were comparing their means for supporting themselves and supporting their church at the same time. So in the Christian church, every Sunday, they pass around the collection plate. So one of them said, well, I have a very simple formula. Every Sunday, whatever's in the collection plate, 50% I use for the Lord and 50% for me. And the other one said, I have a slightly different system. After the service, I go back in my office, there's a line on the floor. I take the collection plate, turn it over, whatever falls on this side is for the Lord, whatever falls on this side is for me. Third one says, I have a little different system. After the service is over, I go up to the pulpit, the church is empty, I take the collection plate, I throw it in the air, the Lord takes whatever He wants. So, Dharma should never be performed for the sake of earning money. And yet, we need money to function in this society. This is one of the great benefits of the Varnashram system. There's only one category of people, really of the 8 possible combinations, that are really charged with earning money, right? It's the Vaishyas. And the Vaishyas are Grihastas. So the Grihastha Vaishyas are kind of the economic engine for the whole society. They give taxes to the Kshatriyas, and the Kshatriyas distribute them for the benefit of the society under the guidance of the Brahmins. The Brahmins are uncorruptible. They cannot be bought. Dana pratigraha, they can receive charity, but they also give charity. So the generation of money is restricted to that particular order. It is not meant for anyone else. And people who have the propensity towards earning money are encouraged to do so, but not for the sake of accumulating so much. So in the Golden Age, when Varnashram was enacted, the Brahmins were ultimate head of society, and they would guide the Kshatriyas, who would collect from the Vaishyas and provide for the Shudras. Then, over time, the monarchies became very powerful and really supplanted the leadership of the Brahmins. And the Brahmins became very corrupted and untrustworthy. So the monarchies, sort of the Middle Ages, they were ruled, all the countries were ruled by kings. Kings ruled by divine right. Everything in the kingdom was considered their property. They were ordained by God to rule. And they would take or not take direction from the priest as it suited them. For example, Henry VIII in England. England was a Catholic country, and Henry VIII was brought up as a Catholic. But he wanted to divorce one wife and marry another, and this was not allowed in the Catholic Church. So he said, all right, I'll start my own religion. This is the Church of England, Anglican, and in our part of the world it's the Episcopalian Church. But it was founded for that reason, because he did not want to listen to the priests anymore in Rome. So he started his whole religion. So monarchies ruled, that's government by the Kshatriyas. And then in the 1700s, there's rebellion in France and America. There's now establishment of democracy. And democracy is meant to be giving everybody a chance to earn freely, honestly, and by the dint of their own efforts. It's a chance, it's an opportunity. So one is not consigned to be a serf working for the Lord. So that was the great experiment of government by capitalism, government by the Vaishyas. one of the American presidents was famously said, "The business of America is business." So it's pretty much the same in Canada, isn't it? Capitalism, we have this freedom to earn money and opportunity to earn, and that's what everybody considers the goal of life, and a great opportunity to better yourself. Like my parents were both from very poor families, but they got educated, they were able to earn and raise their standard of living. You know, they considered that like the highest goal of life, and when their son wasn't interested, they said, "What's wrong with you?" So communism ultimately is government by the Shudras, at least in theory. It's meant to be all the people, the state owns everything and all the people are equal, and cared for by the state equally. Everybody is, there's no hierarchy whatsoever. Everyone is on the same. This is government by the Shudras, again in theory. So these are the effects of Kali Yuga, that government goes from leadership of the Brahmins to leadership of the Shudras. And today, gold is just such a corrupting factor. Our esteemed President of the United States, in his second year in office, reported that he earned $1.7 billion, something like that. That was his tax return, $1.7 billion. Can you imagine? $1 billion is $1,000 million in 1 year, almost 2,000. This is because, as president, he can manipulate things for his own profit, which he does very, very honestly, very freely. Like he'll make some profound address. The president said, "This company is really good. Everybody should appreciate this company." Not telling anyone that the day before he bought so many shares in that company. But he actually does these kind of things. He does it very openly. So, yes, the opposite of caring and fulfilling one's duty in any capacity of life is pursuing money. So having this dharmasya hyapavargasa, having the right balance of finance in our lives is super important. We need enough to function, particularly brahmacharis. Brahmacharis should not have bank accounts. Brahmacharis, I mean in the strictest sense, don't have separate accounts, don't have separate money. This is the business of grihastas. My friend Sesha Prabhu and I, when we were brahmacharis, went to a conference of religious scholars and sold some books. And then we were driving our van back through the desert to Los Angeles, and the van broke down. And so neither of us had any money. We didn't have credit cards. We were brahmacharis. We don't have anything. So we begged the garage owner to please fix our car. And he said, "All right, I'll fix it if you clean up all the trash on our 3-acre property here." So we spent the whole day out in the hot sun in the desert picking up trash. And then he fixed the car and we were off. And then somewhere down the line we both realized, wait a minute, we just sold books. We had money sitting in the van, but it wasn't our money. That was not our money. That's Krishna's money. That's Prabhupada's money. And it did not even cross our minds. That's how devoted and dumb we were. But this is the idea that our relationship with money, and whatever our particular situation may be, people have different situations, so it's not black and white. But attachment to money is a place where Kali exists. If we put money before relationships, that's Kali Yuga. If we think, okay, well, my real security will lie in my financial development, this is Kali. Krishna provides what we need. Tesham nitya viyuktanam yogakshema vahamiham. Krishna will provide what we need. It is not necessary to say, okay, I'm just going to count on Krishna to give me all my money and take care of me. No, we have to have a plan, and we have to see opportunities as they come up, and then we have to do our duties. I mean, Arjuna was not just sitting back and letting Krishna do all the fighting. But at the same time, even if we have money, we know that our real security is Krishna, that this money is coming from Krishna and it's meant to be used for Krishna. So one last point, and then we'll have some discussion if you like. In this purport, Prabhupada says 50%. And this for the householder is like, oh yeah, right, in our society. Householder is going to give 50%. So as a householder, I raised 3 children. My wife and I raised them on fumes. We had what we needed, but it was very minimal because we were both working in our missionary capacity in ISKCON. And they say, and if you work for ISKCON, the salary is lousy, but the fringe benefits are out of this world. So I mention that because we had this experience that we had, by depending on Krishna, we just had enough. And at the same time, we did not have any other marketable skills that we could have used to make money. We had both just started our lives in ISKCON, in our adult lives, and that's all we knew. So if you have skills, then you use them for Krishna service. That's all right. If you have the ability to earn in a better way, then you do that. If you are able to work in the mission, that's also very nice. But we recognize now that people should be able to, who want to give their lives to serving the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they should be cared for. They should be able to have a responsible life. And this is not a violation of that verse, dharmasya hyapa vargasya, but rather it is just a practical application. We need people to manage temples and to print books and to lead and organize and fight legal battles, etc., etc. We need people who will dedicate their lives to the mission. Therefore, those people should be supported. They should have the ability to focus entirely and not think, okay, well, I give whatever little time I can volunteer, but I really have to do my work over here. We used to think, my wife and I, in our generation, Prabhupada disciples, we all thought, okay, we're just going to be missionaries forever. But most people are actually not cut out for that. And if we look at any church, in any religious community, we'll see that there typically be 1 or 2 religious professionals, and the other people are congregational members, right? So, this 50% rule, if we consider 50% of our time, that also counts. If we've given 50% of our lives, that also counts. If we're giving 50% of our income after meeting our necessary expenses, that's very nice, okay? But just to immediately give 50% off the top, if somebody's very wealthy, they can do that. If they're not, they can do it in these other ways. Just want to say this very practical thing. And with that, we'll open it up. Any discussion, reflections, corrections, objections? Okay. Ishan Prabhu.
Thank you for your class, Prabhu. One line I really liked was devoted and dumb. It's, I think, a tagline for every devotee. It's amazing how this goes on. Yeah. And my question is about, you mentioned, the 3 types of governance, especially around this world. Patak Kshatriya's rule through monarchy, the Vaishya's rule through capitalism, and Shudras through communism. So, in an ideal kind of living situation for a Vaishnava or a Vaishnavi, for them, what kind of governance is the most optimal, or what is the governance by Brahmanas called? What is that called? What would that be if you look at it in a political sense?
Right. Jesus perhaps said it best. He said, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, and render unto God that which is God's. So in other words, the government, we have certain obligations to the government because they provide certain things for us. They provide roads, and they give us defense, and they give us social safety net, as it were. So we have obligations. We take these things. We can't just say, okay, I'll take all, thank you very much. We have then obligations in society. And this means that there are covenants that are built in, that are contracts that are built in if we choose to live in a particular place. So being devotees, we can't say, well, I'm transcendental, I don't have to observe any of these things. No, this is not correct, nor is it dharmic, right? We take, then we have to we have to return. Otherwise, we're like thieves, as Krishna explains in chapter 3. But render to God that which is God's. So if we live in a society where we are free to practice the spiritual practice of our choice, this is actually a great benefit in the modern world, and it does not exist everywhere. We're free to practice our religion, we're free to practice our bhakti practices, we're free to have public festivals, and this is not the case everywhere in the world. In fact, you could, as far as populations, it would probably be almost half the world where there's considerable degree of religious repression. So we should, it's Kali Yuga, we're not going to expect that there are going to be Brahmins guiding society. There's going to be, fat Vaishyas in charge, at least in some parts of the world. Overweight, corrupt Vaishyas ruling things. So this is the freedom that we have. Okay, I want to live in a place where at least I can practice Krishna consciousness openly. Devotees who have done without that are just amazing. In Russia, China, yeah. Very courageous. Okay. So yeah, we do our duties, we pay our taxes, and we chant Hare Krishna, and we feel fortunate. Yes, Prabhu.
I actually had the same point. I never thought of the three types of government compared to three varnas. So thank you for sharing that. My question is regarding, so sometimes devotees, they share that, you said that we should live a life where we fulfill our needs but not accumulate more. So there's also a concept of abundance and scarcity. Some people they believe there's so much for everyone, so you can keep on collecting and still there'll be enough for everyone. So, and following that, they collect more. So how do we look at this?
In other words, does it affect our spiritual life if we're living in poverty, if there's scarcity? And does it help our spiritual life if there's a sense of abundance, that I can be generous? It really is quite individual. Depends on the nature. Some people can live very austerely and be very happy with that, and other people cannot tolerate it. So we don't judge others by our own standards, whatever they may be. Then we'll be happy. Jayananda Prabhu was this good example. He had this real resistance to spending any of Krishna's money. So in 1976, he was working and preparing for the big Rath Yatra in New York, and he had jeans that he'd been wearing for years with big holes in the knees, and this was before that became fashionable. So the temple president was saying, Prabhu, please, you can't run around with these pants with holes in the knees. It just doesn't look right. And so the next day, he saw Jayananda, and Jayananda had cut off the pants and made them into shorts. And the temple president got another devotee and said, would you just please take him and get him some pants? And so they went to the store together, and Jayananda looked and he found a pair, and then he says to this other devotee, he looked around and he said, I think I can do it. And he started walking towards the door with the pants. And the security guard saw him and he caught him. And he called the police, and he had to go to court. So the court, they arrive, Jayananda's there, the security guard is there, the judge is there. The judge says, you've been accused of stealing, do you have anything to say in your defense? He said, Your Honor, I work for a temple and we never have enough money, and I just couldn't stand spending the temple's money on myself. And as he was saying this with such heartfelt conviction, the security guard says, Your Honor, I'll pay for the pants. So the point is, if we have that nature and it really comes from our heart, we can live like that. But we have to be honest and true to our own nature. And by nature, some people love to make money. And that's wonderful. Make money full blast. Just don't hoard it. Be generous with it. And use as much as you can in Krishna service. Is that all right? Okay. That's our time. No? Anyone else? Okay, please.
Off topic, maybe whenever you come to talk about sleeping early and waking up early, so after you go, I become that I do that maybe for 1 month. So maybe again I need some encouragement.
Oh. Yes, my favorite sadhana tip. Yes. You know, it is said that it is good karma when you are hungry at mealtime. And similarly, it's good karma when you are tired when the sun goes down. So the body adjusts to our circadian rhythm is called, when we adjust to natural rising and setting of the sunlight. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, many people don't know this, but it was just common throughout the world that people would go to bed when the sun set, and they would get up when the sun rose, but that's like, can be a long period, 10, 12 hours. People would not sleep that long. They would wake up and get up in the middle of the night. Get up maybe after 3 hours of sleep, they'd get up and do things, and by candlelight. And then after 2-3 hours up, then they go back to sleep until dawn. It was called the second sleep. And if you study this, you'll find this was more or less the standard for human beings all over the world. But with the Industrial Revolution, first of all, there were electric lights, and you could stay up late and have light. And then people were expected to work 8 hours, 10 hours in a day. So no time for a nap, no time for sleeping. You're supposed to go to the factory and work. And so people had to get more, they would sleep all night. So we're still, today, the beneficiaries of that impact of the Industrial Revolution. So it's actually quite natural to wake up early. And especially if we rest when the sun is going down. So this is not something like it's imposed on ascetics in an ashram. It's just kind of reverting to what is natural for most people. So to be tired when it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the evening, then this is very auspicious. And one of my god sisters used to say, at 8:30 I turn into a pumpkin. It's like Cinderella's ball is over and back. And why is that beautiful? Because you sleep at 8:30, you rise 2:30, 3, without an alarm clock. And oh, those hours are so precious. So whatever you love to do, if you do during those hours, you'll do it 10 times better. Or love to do, or even have to do. If you love to write, you will write better at that time. Your mind will be so much more clear. If you love to study, you'll study much better. If you have to study for school, you'll study so much better. Students typically say, oh, I got a big test tomorrow, I'm going to study all night. And then the next day they're brain dead, right? So much better, go to bed and then get up early and study then, and then you'll be so much more able to absorb the material. If you like sleeping also, you'll sleep so much better during those hours. Whatever is your priority in life. So the idea is to get our bodies more in tune with our nature. And if you do it by rote, by practice, over time it will become second nature. So you sleep, it gets dark, you just automatically want to go to bed. And then you'll sleep deeply, and then you wake up well before dawn and say, oh great, now I have time to chant. Isn't it wonderful when you chant all your rounds before breakfast? How many people have finished 16 rounds today? All right, what's your name? Joy. How do you feel, Joy? A little sleepy, but very good. Better to be a little sleepy but joyful than well rested and miserable, right? Or anxious. Yes, this is the point that we have made this deep commitment, and it's no light thing to chant 16 rounds. Is no light thing. It is a heavy commitment, especially in this very industrialized world. But if we do that, if it's the most important thing, and we do it in the morning, our rounds will be better, we'll be more connected with Krishna, and all day long we'll feel, now I am free to serve to my heart's content. Not that, I got to serve, but I got to finish because I have to finish 4 rounds. You see, you understand? It's always in the back of our mind. So first things first. All right, is that helpful, Sartan? I could go on. No, it's been a hallmark of my spiritual life, and my wife and my serious sadhaka friends. We get up, we don't set alarm clocks, we just 9 o'clock, that's it, we're in bed. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
First
Krishna.
of all, thank you so much for your class. I didn't know you were coming today. I just found out last night before I sleep.
Ah.
And I really missed you. Thank you so much for visiting us.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is a bit off topic as well, but you just mentioned it. How would I understand the difference between intuition and anxiety?
Intuition and anxiety, right. Anxiety is unpleasant. Intuition is stimulating. Okay. Anxiety is based on projecting something negative in the future. Okay, and I'm not going to be sexist in saying this, but I've been, as a married man for 44 years, I can say from experience, women are very empowered to be able to do this, to project negative things and then worry about it. Is this resonating? Yeah?
Oh, yes.
Men are too busy with the soccer match to think about it. So when we are projecting negativity for the future, it's actually natural for women, because women have the nesting instinct, the preservation instinct for children. So, I have to be aware of possible dangers. See? But it is the impact of the mode of passion. Why? Because passion is looking ahead. Ignorance is looking behind, lamenting what we can't change, what has already happened. But goodness is being in the moment. Okay? So if at least we can recognize this is the mode of passion. Now, intuition, on the other hand, intuition is something that we sense and we stimulate. And this, again, women have a stronger ability for intuition. There is a saying that men don't have a clue. Have you ever heard this saying? So women understand things intuitively that men are often oblivious to. And there are physiological reasons for this, having to do with the dominant side of the brain. Men have a dominant left hemisphere, I believe, which is the abstract, the rational, the philosophical. And so men tend to be more disconnected with emotions, whereas women are very highly connected with emotions, because, again, this is the role of the woman in society, to care for the child. How is the child feeling? What does the child need? The intuitive response is necessary. So intuition should be explored, if we're not talking about child rearing. But if we have an intuition that something might be the case, or somebody might be feeling something, or something's going to happen, it can be explored. It can be explored objectively by, I have an intuition, I have a sense that maybe you're thinking this or thinking that. It's just my intuition, I may be wrong. What are you actually feeling? You see? Like that. Or I have an intuition that something bad is going to happen. What are some things that might be, well, that's more like anxiety. But, I have an intuition, something's about to happen. What do you think? Don't try to verify it with other people. Share it. Okay? And it can be stimulating. Intuition can be stimulating. Okay? All right, anything else? Time to stop? One last question. We have time, Monia? It's okay?
So I was just thinking about the statement that dwelling in the past is ignorance, future passion, and goodness is in the present. I've heard this from some devotees before, and I find it like it's something that sticks in my mind because my major in university that I'm studying is actually history. So, and I think I have heard some devotees who seem like a little bit dismissive of history because they're like, oh, that's just dwelling in the past. So I wanted to ask you, like, how to use this field of history, this field of knowledge, in a more sattvic way.
Yes, well, knowledge, acquiring knowledge is not ignorant, it is Brahminical, that's sattvic. To learn, jnanam vijnanam astikyam, brahma karma svabhavajam. So acquiring knowledge, even of history, is sattvic. Excuse me. For example, Dronacharya was expert in military arts. He was a Brahmin, but he knew this science very well. Vyasadeva wrote down the histories so that we would have them. He didn't write them for exercise, he wrote them for our benefit, right? So to study history is a sattvic thing to do. What we're talking about, the past, is more lamenting things in our own lives or things that happen to us and like talking about them incessantly and dwelling on them. This is the mode of ignorance. Like, this happened, I can't change it, but it happened, so let me go forward from here. More personal history, I would, in summary, say, okay? But the objective study of history, it's very valuable. Okay? Okay. Anything else? All right. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. All right, was that all right?
Yes.
Too long?
No, that was okay, but